On their 18th birthday, one sister got a luxury villa, the other a failing business, and what followed was a ruthless war of sabotage, betrayal, and a shocking fall from privilege. The chandeliers sparkled like constellations above the grand ballroom of the Romanov estate. Waiters in crisp uniforms floated between guests, offering champagne and caviar. Outside, luxury cars lined the marble driveway like a parade of wealth. It was the 18th birthday of Sofia and Natalia Romanov, twin daughters of Alexander and Irina Romanov, magnates of the hospitality industry in Eastern Europe. Everyone expected the celebration to be lavish. The Romanovs didn't know how to do anything small. Sofia stood on the staircase, her designer gown hugging every curve, her golden curls artfully arranged. Natalia, beside her, wore a simpler dress, elegant but understated, her dark hair swept into a neat bun. Though they were twins, they had grown up in different worlds. One bathed in applause, the other in its shadow. When Alexander raised his glass, the room fell into a hush. "Today marks a turning point," he said. "Our daughters are now women. It is time we gift them with tools for their future." A murmur spread through the crowd. To Sofia, Irina chimed in. "We are giving the villa in Amalfi, a place of rest and beauty, to inspire and enjoy." Sofia gasped dramatically, as if surprised. Applause followed. She curtsied slightly, her eyes shimmering with pride, and something colder when they turned to Natalia. "And to Natalia," Alexander continued, "we give La Lumiere, our first boutique hotel in Lviv. It's where it all began." The applause was more restrained. Natalia smiled tightly. She knew La Lumiere had been losing money for years. A fading legacy, hardly a gift. Still, she forced herself to thank them. Later, when the champagne flowed and Sofia paraded around talking about villa renovations, Natalia stepped outside for air. The evening breeze was cool. She didn't hear Sofia approach. "You're welcome," Sofia whispered sweetly. Natalia turned. "For what?" "For not getting the villa, obviously. It would have been wasted on you." Natalia stared at her sister. "Maybe. Or maybe it would have been the first thing I didn't let rot." Sofia's smirk faded. Natalia walked back into the ballroom, heels clicking like war drums. La Lumiere looked nothing like the polished photos from the early 2000s. Natalia stood in the lobby with her suitcase at her feet, the stale air thick with mildew. The once grand chandelier above her head had two bulbs flickering, and the gold wallpaper peeled like old paint. A tired-looking receptionist barely looked up as she muttered, "De breathing." Natalia wanted to turn around and leave. Instead, she inhaled deeply and stepped forward. "This is mine now," she whispered to herself. The first week was worse than she had imagined. The hotel had 3 guests total, and 2 of them complained daily. The linen supplier hadn't been paid in months. The kitchen's refrigerator leaked, and staff either showed up late or not at all. Natalia found unpaid bills stacked in drawers, marketing contracts that were never renewed, and a website from 2010. Her calls to her parents went unanswered. When she finally reached her father, he sounded distracted. "Figure it out, Natalia. This is your responsibility now." Her sister, on the other hand, had no problem staying in touch. Sofia's messages came with beach selfies and captions like, "Living the dream, kiss mark son," and "Grateful for all life's gifts." Natalia replied only once, "Enjoy the villa." Sofia responded with a voice note, dripping with mock sincerity. "Don't take it personally, sis. Not everyone's meant for the spotlight. Some people belong behind the desk or under it." Natalia didn't respond again. Instead, she threw herself into the work. She took inventory of every corner of the hotel. She met with local artisans, cafe owners, and tour guides. She couldn't afford a marketing team, so she started filming short videos herself, showing the view from the rooftop, the process of repainting the rooms, behind-the-scenes looks at the kitchen. Each night, she collapsed onto the lumpy cot in the back office, exhausted but determined. Weeks turned into months. The moldy smell faded. The lobby brightened. The walls were painted, the rooms refreshed. Slowly, reservations began to trickle in. Then more. Natalia's fingers trembled the day she saw her first positive online review. A charming, hidden gem in Lviv. Romantic, authentic, and surprisingly modern. She allowed herself a rare smile. But her success was far from secure. And somewhere across the sea, her sister was watching, with envy burning beneath a carefully polished smile. Natalia had never tasted power before, but now she understood why people chased it. Not for the money, but for the quiet satisfaction of watching something grow with your own hands. By the one-year anniversary of her ownership, La Lumiere was almost unrecognizable. Gone were the faded curtains and sagging furniture. In their place were handmade ceramic lamps, refurbished antique desks, and a curated scent of lavender and citrus that greeted guests the moment they walked in. She built a team, small but loyal. Marta, the receptionist, once timid and late, now ran the front desk with military precision. Ivan, a culinary student turned chef, created a seasonal menu with local flavors. Natalia gave each of them a share in monthly profits. Everyone worked like they were building something that belonged to them, because they were. She launched weekend packages, writers' retreats, with early morning poetry readings and local coffee tastings, hidden Lviv tours, with secret historical spots. Word began to spread. Travel bloggers posted about it. Influencers from Poland and Germany booked stays. One morning, while reviewing finances over black coffee, Natalia noticed something she'd never seen in her spreadsheets before: profit. Not just survival, actual growth. Her hands trembled again, but for a different reason this time. The news reached her parents faster than expected. Irina called first. "I saw your hotel mentioned in an article about hidden European gems. Is it true you're expanding?" Natalia hesitated. "I'm scouting properties in Prague. Just ideas for now." "We're proud of you," Irina said, her voice softer than usual. "Your father is too." It wasn't much, but it was more than she'd had before. When Alexander visited La Lumiere, he didn't come with an entourage, just a quiet expression of surprise as he walked the halls. "You've done something special," he said over dinner on the rooftop terrace. "Something I never managed with this place." Natalia felt a warmth rise in her chest. Not because of the compliment, but because she knew she'd earned it. Later that night, Sofia's name popped up on her phone screen. The message: "Nice article. Don't let it go to your head." Attached was a photo of Sofia in a red bikini by an infinity pool, cocktail in hand, diamond earrings sparkling in the sun. But Natalia wasn't the same girl who used to compare dresses, words, or smiles with her sister. She no longer needed to compete, at least not for attention. She closed the message, turned off her phone, and went back to reviewing renovation plans. Because she wasn't done yet. Sofia returned without warning. One Friday morning, Natalia arrived at the hotel to find her sister sitting in the lounge, legs crossed, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. "Surprise," Sofia chirped, waving a manicured hand. "You weren't answering my messages." Natalia narrowed her eyes. "You never said you were coming. I wanted to see your Miracle Hotel," Sofia said, glancing around the space. "It's cuter than I expected. A bit provincial, but charming." Natalia didn't take the bait. "You want a room?" "Already checked in. Booked under an alias. Thought I'd get the full experience." Sofia stayed for 3 days, parading through the halls like she owned the place. She took selfies in front of the flower walls, ordered special dishes off menu, and made passive-aggressive comments to the staff about standards. Natalia was relieved when she left. But a week later, the first strange review appeared online: dirty sheets. Weird smell in the hallway. Not recommended. Natalia was shocked. The guest name didn't match anyone in the system. Then more followed: identical phrasing, new profiles, 1-star ratings. A health inspector arrived unexpectedly, claiming to have received an anonymous tip. Natalia's stomach twisted. She knew who was behind it. She checked the security cameras, recently installed after a break-in scare, and scrubbed through hours of footage. On the second night of Sofia's visit, there she was, slipping into the staff kitchen after hours, pouring milk into the spice cabinet, loosening the fridge door, sprinkling sugar near a vent to attract ants. Natalia felt sick. That evening, she called Sofia. "You've gone too far." A pause, then a smug reply. "You should be thanking me. You were getting complacent." Natalia's voice was ice. "You're jealous." "I'm offended," Sofia said. "I gave you a few bumps in the road. If your hotel can't survive a few fake reviews and fruit flies, maybe it's not as brilliant as you think." Natalia didn't scream. She didn't argue. She just hung up. Sofia had always been cruel. But this was war. The next morning, Natalia met with a lawyer. Not to sue, not yet, but to prepare. Because if Sofia wanted a fight, she'd chosen the wrong sister to push. Sofia returned to the Amalfi villa expecting a fresh delivery of designer shoes and her usual imported champagne. Instead, she was met by silence and a stack of unpaid invoices. The villa's once flawless white walls had begun to crack. The pool had algae on its edges. The housekeeper had quit 2 weeks ago, unpaid. The gardener hadn't shown in months. She dialed her father. "I need a little help," she said lightly. just until I get things back on track. Alexander didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. We've already helped. We gave you a villa worth millions. You used it like a toy. The bank will take it if you don't fix this. Click. Irina was gentler. You should talk to Natalia. She might have some ideas. Sofia laughed bitterly. Of course. Natalia the golden child. Why don't you adopt her? She tried selling jewelry to cover the utilities. She reached out to her influencer network, but tastes had shifted. Brands wanted authenticity, not staged sunsets and filtered poolside photos. No one cared about a once pretty face with no story. A few weeks later, she received a foreclosure notice. The villa, her dream, her kingdom, was slipping from her fingers. At night, she scrolled through Natalia's hotel page. It was sleek, polished, modern. La Lumiere Prague, grand opening. Smiled across the screen. Natalia stood at the center of the photo with her staff, glowing, powerful. Sofia hated how much she wanted to be part of it. She opened her chat with Natalia. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She typed and deleted several times. Finally, she wrote, "Can we talk?" Natalia replied hours later. "If it's about the hotel, meet me in Prague. Tomorrow. No drama." Sofia stared at the message. She almost cried. Instead, she packed one suitcase. Not her usual 3. No heels. No dresses. Just a pair of clean jeans, a blouse, and the tight knot of fear in her chest. She wasn't ready to ask for help, but she had no other choice. The Prague branch of La Lumiere stood proudly in a historic building with tall, arched windows and a soft cream facade. Everything about it whispered elegance and quiet power, just like Natalia now. Sofia stood outside for 10 full minutes before entering. Inside, the staff moved with quiet confidence. A man in a tailored vest greeted her. "Welcome to La Lumiere. Do you have a reservation?" "No," she said softly. "I'm here to see Natalia Romanov." He raised an eyebrow, then nodded. "She's expecting you." Sofia found her sister in a glass-walled meeting room, reviewing documents with 2 staff members. Natalia looked up. Her hair was in a sleek bun, her blazer crisp, and her eyes unreadable. She stood. "Give us the room," she told her team. They left without question. Sofia stepped in, clutching her bag. "I came. I noticed," Natalia said, folding her arms. "Sit." It wasn't a warm welcome, but it was something. Sofia lowered herself into the chair. "I messed up." Natalia raised a brow. "Which time?" Sofia bit her lip. "I lost the villa. It's being taken. I'm broke. I tried everything. Sponsors, sales, loans. No one takes me seriously." Natalia said nothing. "I know I was awful to you, but I don't want your money," Sofia added quickly. "I want a job." Natalia blinked. "A job?" "Yes. I've done marketing, PR, social media. I know what people want to see. You built something real, and I think I can help make it even bigger." Natalia leaned back. "You sabotaged my hotel, lied to customers, and now you want me to trust you?" Sofia's voice cracked. "I don't expect you to trust me, but I have nowhere else to go, and I need to prove, to you, to them, to myself, that I'm not just a leech." Silence stretched between them. Then Natalia said, "Fine. You start as an assistant to the assistant of the marketing manager. You do the work no one else wants. Cleaning files, scheduling posts, running errands." Sofia blinked. "Seriously? You want in? Earn it." Sofia nodded slowly. "Deal." Natalia stood. "Your uniform will be waiting in the staff locker room tomorrow at 7 a.m. Don't be late." As Sofia walked out, something strange stirred in her chest. It wasn't shame. It wasn't resentment. It was relief. For the first time in her life, she wasn't pretending to be someone. Sofia arrived at La Lumiere Prague every morning at 6:55 a.m., wearing the uniform she'd once called hideous. She brewed coffee for the team, updated spreadsheets, ran to the printer when cartridges ran low, and scheduled endless content drafts she didn't even write. It was humbling, exhausting, and exactly what she needed. At first, the staff treated her with polite skepticism. They whispered, unsure whether she was spying or playing rich girl make-believe. But week by week, she showed up, stayed late, and kept quiet. For the first time in her life, she listened more than she talked. Natalia watched from a distance. She assigned Sofia nothing special, gave no praise, offered no favors. One night, during a team brainstorming session for a new campaign, the lead marketer floundered. Ideas didn't land. Sofia hesitated, then raised her hand. "What if," she said, "we did a legacy series? Focused on stories, how each hotel came to life, who built them, behind the scenes with the staff. No glamour, just truth." People crave that now. Silence. Then the manager nodded. That's actually good. Natalia met her sister's eyes across the room. No smile. Just a flicker of acknowledgement. 3 months later, bookings surged. Sofia was promoted. Not high, but enough to breathe. She moved into a small flat near the Vltava River, learned to cook for herself, even started reading business articles instead of celebrity gossip. One Sunday, Irina and Alexander visited Prague. They dined at the rooftop garden Natalia designed herself. Candlelight glowed. Staff moved like clockwork. You two have made something extraordinary, Irina said, dabbing her eyes. Alexander leaned back. Maybe we gave you the wrong gifts. Natalia looked at Sofia. Sofia smiled faintly. Maybe you gave us exactly what we needed. Later, when the guests had left and the stars blinked over the city, the sisters sat quietly with tea. You were always stronger, Sofia said, gazing into her cup. Natalia chuckled. You were always louder. They laughed, the first true laugh in years. Not as rivals, not as enemies, but as women reborn, forged through failure, fire, and the fragile threads of family.